Yo, you know what I'm thinking? We got to do a who's better episode. I think that should be now. Very, very random, very different intro. But I think we should have a who's better segment, just a full on. I'm trying to think of two players I can, we can. Usually we don't do this, but I also don't care. What?
I was gonna say Fox or Tyrese.
Fox or Tyrese? Well, is it too soon? You want to go that route?
No, I don't know. I'm just
saying.
I
don't want to do that because they were teammates. I want to get two guys that.
It's crazy because that's that just speaks volume to the Sacramento Kings.
I'm trying to think. What team are they? Let me think backwards. And you can't. I don't want to do the main young five that we always do. I don't want to do a LeBron or KD or Giannis shit. Who we got from the Bulls? I don't want to do. I don't want to do DeMar or Zach or. It doesn't have to be an all-star, huh?
No teammates.
No, I didn't say DeMar versus Zach. I was saying like DeMar or Zach versus somebody else. All right, what other teams are there in the NBA? I'm not gonna say anything about the Magic. Do I want to say Philly? I don't want to say Tobias Harris.
What over there thinking? Bringing something to the table. Don't even know which route you want to go.
Oh. All right, probably we do CJ McCollum. CJ McCollum versus Sabonis.
I mean, that doesn't really fit, really.
How?
Because one's a guard and one's a big.
And?
I mean, it's not.
What does that mean?
Two different play styles.
Okay, fine. One player has to be better, though. I asked like who,
I guess. I mean, if you want to go that route, I mean, I'm gonna pick CJ.
I know that.
Better pick CJ.
I know.
I probably pick CJ. How about the CJ McCollum versus Collin Sexton?
CJ McCollum versus Collin Sexton. Okay, that sucks because my man's injured. But okay, you want to who's your? I already know who you're gonna say, but who is it?
I just said CJ. CJ McCollum. Like, I don't think he's an all-star caliber player. Like, he's one of those guys that he's your favorite player's favorite player. You know what I'm saying? We always hear that, but it's just kind of like, that's CJ McCollum. Like, to me, like, he's one of the most skilled guards in the league. I'm happy he's in a new situation with the New Orleans Pelicans. Hopefully he can blossom next to Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson. They can form like this big three. Maybe go to the playoffs. Who knows? But CJ McCollum is cold. I think also this year, like, before he was getting hurt, he was looking like, a legit argument could be made that he could have been an all-star this year the way he was playing. So definitely going to roll with CJ.
It's funny. Who knows if Collin Sexton didn't get injured? Who knows? Maybe he could have been an all-star.
Nah.
So what makes you? Well, all right. Well, what makes you so confident that CJ could have been an all-star, but not Collin Sexton?
Because the way that CJ was playing and the way that Dame was playing. Like, Dame wasn't playing up to the normal par that we have for Dame. So that's why.
You're right. Were they winning? All right.
I mean, they were winning more than Collin Sexton run the show.
This year? I'm talking about right now.
Yeah, I know you're talking about this year. They wasn't really winning when Collin Sexton was really on that roster.
Right.
They started winning when the keys got to DG. That's when they started winning. Like, I hate to say it, but that's when they started winning. When DG got the keys to the show. Like, I hate to say it, but that's the flat out truth.
That's funny. We got two underappreciated guys that we're talking about here. So we're basically saying who's more underappreciated.
Underappreciated.
It's still Collin Sexton though. It's funny. I was getting ready to say too. You saying it's not even close with CJ?
CJ, so why are we disrespecting?
It's just unfortunate. That's all. It's just unfortunate. Because of the timing of all of this, obviously, right? And so when you're younger, you're in a market that might be smaller even than Portland, it's like, well, I'm just saying. I'm just outside of LeBron James being there. I don't know too many Cavs fans off the top of my head, unless you do. And so because of that, I mean, I think that brings a lot of reasons as to why Collin may not receive as much attention outside of, again, him being injured, and outside of making it even worse, his team is winning and heading toward the playoffs and all that when he's not there. But if I had to choose one, I think I would go Collin. I'm not mad at,
Why?
Well, I think, okay.
Because it's defense. If you say defense, I don't understand that. Like, he's a dog on the defensive side of the floor, but he does nothing better offensively than CJ McCollum.
Right. Well, you really don't care about defense at all. Like, this shit is crazy.
I said if you're going to say defense, like, okay, yeah. But it's
right.
Like,
that's what I'm saying, though. I think I think the problem in Portland for so long has been, like, right, their defense. It's just the idea of, like, you have an undersized backcourt. And I think Cleveland was kind of, trying to imitate the exact same thing. But the difference is, right, that Cleveland has is that they have somewhat of a front court. Right, they have somewhat of a consistent front court. You got an NBA champion in Kevin Love, and then you got two young guys, a borderline all-star in Jared Allen, and a talented rookie in Evan Mobley, who hopefully that, at least that duo of big men can stay there for a good little while. But yeah, going back to Collin, I mean, yeah, defensively, yeah, but I think CJ is a better scorer, and I think the fact that he's had to play with Dame has, he hasn't been able to really, really show off that he could or could not be a number one option. Obviously now with the way things are, but I'm still going to take Collin if I had to choose one between the two of them. I know that's not going to be a popular pick. I know people are going to say, and for the record, y'all, for those of y'all that remember, okay, CJ was definitely a part of my starting six when we drafted isolation players, which, Demi, even then people had a problem with it, but I don't care. I'll still go with Collin Sexton.
I mean, that's fine. I mean, you can roll with Collin Sexton. I just don't think he does anything really better besides defense than CJ McCollum. Also, I've seen CJ McCollum play at the highest level and hit clutch shots and have big moments. Not saying that Collin Sexton is not capable of doing that, but I've seen it with my eyes with CJ, and I had to give him the edge because of that and a whole lot of other things as well. Because if you look at Collin Sexton, what does Collin Sexton – I mean, Collin Sexton is a great player, but he does a lot of things good, but nothing really, like, great. You know what I'm saying? That's always been kind of like, is he a combo guard? Should he come off the bench? Should he be a starter? I think he's a starter in this league. I think he's too talented to not be a starter. But at the same time, I understand people say, like, he may want to, but in a certain situation, like, he could be this extreme six-man, which is some truth to it, but I think he's a starter in this league. But at the same time, I just know that, like, what is he does a lot of things good, but nothing really like exceptionally like great. Like CJ McCollum, like his skill set is very, very great and advanced. And it's just kind of like people underrate him constantly, but like I think it's levels.
Do you think he's been able to do that though by playing with Dame? Like, do you think him having another backcourt mate that is able to score at a high level has helped CJ in terms of taking the pressure off him?
I mean, you always need help. And it's just kind of like, of course, Dame helps everybody on the Portland Trailblazers because he draws so much attention. But like a legitimate argument can be made if you break things down to a T that, CJ may be more skilled than Dame. If you really want to talk about it, like maybe not shooting from deep, but that shooting is only one aspect of skill. So that's what I'm saying. Like CJ is very, 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 very talented.
Yeah, and I think too there's a difference between like being skilled and better than someone, like in terms of just like the actual art of the skill. But you talk about performing at the highest level, and what's crazy is the first thing that kind of came to my mind when you mentioned that with Collin Sexton. I know we're talking about the league, but him back in Alabama, I think when they had to play like a 5-on-3 game or some shit like that, and that's just kind of crazy to think that like, and they. If I remember correctly, like it was a game. Like it was, what I'm saying? Like it was, you play 5-on-3, it should be a blowout, especially at that level. But just the idea of like he's obviously a tough competitor too. And I think it's also unfortunate that we haven't been able to see him like really shine in the playoffs. Like obviously things are changing in that city with that team, and who knows what's going to happen. But I think once we do see him in that light, I don't think he's going to fold. Right. Not saying that CJ has, but I don't think Collin is going to shy away from the moment. I don't think it's going to be a situation where like, the lights are too bright or the pressure is too much, so he might change. There's a lot of players who may have that tendency, but I don't think that's going to be the case with Collin. But I can see why, you know what I'm saying, the skill set when it comes to CJ is the reason why you would go with him. I'm not mad at it. I don't think it's obvious, though. We don't get...
I think it's obvious.
Think it's obvious?
I think it's obvious. I think if you did a poll, if you ask most like people in the basketball community, they're probably going to pick CJ McCollum over Collin Sexton.
I'm just not comfortable with the whole, he could be a 6-man. I think Collin Sexton is a starter for pretty much any team in the NBA. Like, because then you got to work backwards, right? How many point guards? Okay, he could be a backup for like Golden State. Sure.
Of course.
Right? Because you're not going to.
But he's not. The problem is he's not a point guard. He's not a shooting guard. He's a combo guard. So sometimes when you are a tweener in the two, it's just kind of like I said, like, questions going to be asked is just like, all right, he's not really good enough for us to run the show. He's not really good enough for him to be just this extreme pure scorer at the 2-guard position. So like, that's where things get dicey. So that's why people start looking at like, oh, okay, he can come off the bench, be the 6-man and stuff like this because he does a lot of things really, really good. But like, I think he's a starter because he has something that you can't measure. That's heart. That's being a dog. That's having an aggressive mentality. That's leaving it out on the floor. That's passion. Like some like grit. A lot of those things you can't measure, and he brings all that plus his skill set and plus his basketball ability, which is why I think he's a phenomenal player. But at the same time, it's just kind of like when we're talking about in this conversation, CJ and Collin, I got to get an edge to see.
And it's so funny, too, when you hear like GMs or teams or media, whatever, say things like, well, he doesn't have this, he doesn't have that. We don't know if he's a 1 or we don't know if he's a 2. Okay, cool. I'm with that, right? But who do you currently have? Right? Like, whatever roster that you have now, I hope that your starting 1 and your starting 2 is a lot better than Collin. Because you can't sit here and say, like, oh, we don't feel like he fits our system. If you've been losing for years, if Collin doesn't fit it, then who does? And so I get it that basketball is a game about positions and fit and all that. But if you're looking at a roster and they're in your 2 starting guys, your 1 and your 2, or whatever position title you want to give them, aren't getting it done at the same clip as Collin, then does it really matter?
Yeah,
like,
sure.
If you've been winning games and it's working for you and you don't want to put in someone who you might feel might, quote unquote, mess up the system or team, I get it. But don't have a losing record for the last 5 years and then still put yourself on a pedestal as if like you done accomplished something.
True. That's definitely true.
You might just want to start accumulating talent, period.
Let me ask you this question. Collin Sexton and Marcus Smart, if you swap those 2 on both teams, do the Boston Celtics get better with Collin Sexton on their team? And does the Marcus Smart improve the Cleveland Cavaliers?
Well, I'll answer the second part first. Marcus Smart improves the Cleveland Cavaliers just because of the obvious fact that Collin Sexton is injured. And outside that, he has actual experience in the playoffs, which even though he's young, the Cavs are young too, but he has experience. And that does go a long way. Obviously, we talk about skill set and all that, but experience and being that X factor and having that dog type mentality when it comes to a team. At the same time, if you add Collin to the Celtics, right, a healthy Collin, the question mark that the Celtics have had for a long time, and me and you have talked about this often, is they need a true point guard. Right, someone that can put the ball in the right spots for Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, right? And they've been kind of missing that. I still think though that he would make them better, right? I still think though that if you add a third, scoring option with Boston, I still think they improve because if you think about it, right, after Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, in terms of a isolation scorer or a guy that you can kick it out to and say, yo, go to get us a bucket. Who's next? You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, I think that terms of like duo really only works at a high level when you have like a LeBron and AD or Kawhi and Paul George and things of that nature, But if you're talking about Jason and Jaylen, who might be, with all due respect, just a tier above those 2 champions, right? I think
tier below.
It wouldn't. Well, yeah, a tier below. My apologies. Yeah, a tier below those guys out there in LA. It wouldn't hurt to have Collin Sexton. But that's a good one, though. That's a good one, though. I think it would definitely help out both teams, especially, too, like I said, we were already seeing what Cleveland is able to do, unfortunately, without Collin Sexton. So if you add Marcus, a defensive guy who, get the job done.
That's a trade piece I would like look into if I were the Cleveland Cavaliers because the reason why I feel like Marcus Smart will make the Cleveland Cavaliers better more so than Collin Sexton will make the Boston Celtics better is because Marcus Smart kind of knows his role. You know, he would slide in perfectly. He's a guy that's kind of like going to play hard, play defense, hit open threes, catch and shoot, stuff like that. The thing about Collin Sexton is just like he's had success being the guy and, you know, having a high usage rate and having the ball in his hands and stuff like that. He goes to the Boston Celtics and ain't that. You're not the first option, you're not the second option. Can you be this third option? And it's kind of like, is your skill set is going to be able to translate where you can like do that? Because it's just like some guys are not equipped to necessarily do that. You know what I'm saying? Like be a third option. It's hard. We're seeing it right now in LA. Like a lot of people talking about like Russell Westbrook in the situation about the fit and stuff like that. But it's just kind of like, it's like this is Russell Westbrook's first year ever being a third option on a team. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a hard adjustment to make. It's different than being like the first, the second, like, you know, 1A, 1B sometimes and stuff like that. But like being a third option requires a huge amount of sacrifice, not just for yourself personally, but it's just kind of like the team as well, because you got to like really want to do it. You got to really invest in doing it. So that's my thing about like that whole situation with Marcus Smart and Collin Sexton, if that did happen.
Right, I hear you. But one thing I would say off that is like Collin, in my opinion, is a winner. Like I think he's willing to do, you know, whatever it takes to win ball game. Now, some guys in the league aren't willing to make that sacrifice, like win or not. Right? Some guys aren't willing to be that third option. But I think it comes down to, and obviously no player in the league is going to admit that a certain player is better than them, of course, right? Like as a competitor, you just shouldn't do that. But if you're entering a situation, a team, and a city where it is clear that these two dudes are them, right? They are the guys that the team is building around. You kind of, or I would hope that you understand that in order for y'all to really win and work it out, they're going to have to be the top guys. And not to say that there's a huge fall off between those two and Sexton, but I think, I'm saying though, it's not like, you know, if they're let's say 87, he's not like a 70. You feel me? Like, they're still the two best players, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But like this, the gap isn't wide enough where he can have bad games and they could still thrive. That's what I'm saying, right? Like, there's some guys where you know that, all right, if he shows up or if he doesn't, hey, you know what? Those little 7 points probably weren't going to do much for us anyway. But they would need Collin Sexton to really show up on a nightly basis if they're intending on competing for a championship. It wouldn't just be like, you know, okay, sometimes he's here, sometimes he's not. No. We need you to be a consistent third option, which I think, you know, he would be willing to do. Now, it would be an adjustment, don't get me wrong. But like, and also too, the pressure will be off, right? That's the bonus of going from a first option to a third option. And even though people don't like to talk about that, right? If there's not as much pressure on you, and now you may not have the best defender guarding you, hell, you might not even have the second best defender guarding you, you now can get busy and make your job a hell of a lot easier. You might not get the shine and recognition as you was before, but now you don't got to worry about the top defender, you know, going after you for 40 minutes a night. You know what I'm saying? And that, to me, is a bonus.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely not like an easy situation. I don't want to make, obviously,
yeah, I know that.
It's not an X and O's kind of thing. It's not like, all right, we got a guy that's talented and we're adding him to two other guys that's talented, so it's definitely going to work. Absolutely not.
Just like I told you that in the last podcast, that CJ McCollum would be gone before the start of the next season. Collin Sexton would be gone before the start of the next season. He would be on a new team. It's certain things, it's just hard to like, it's just like when you see things aren't working and then you remove this player and then things start working, I already know what comes with that, especially when the like narrative was he needs to come off the bench right away. I was like, yo, y'all tripping. Like, it's his rookie year, sophomore year, like, yo, like, let him be a starter first before we start saying this. But it's just like now, since the Cleveland Cavaliers are winning and going to go to the playoffs, and it's just kind of like, without you, that's just add more like fuel to the fire. So, you know, we'll see though.
Yeah, I mean, and he's definitely valuable too. I think, like this, the good thing I'll say is that he was playing at Collin Sexton. He was playing well before the Cavs. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So that is a great thing, because I would hate for just the timing of it all for him to be having that one off year, and then on top of that he get injured, and then on top of that the Cavs play well. Then that's like a triple L. You feel me? That's just, you know, then it's like, well, damn. Like, I know you good, you know he's good, but like, yeah, that's just a tough case to be made for anybody. But I mean, if I'm Cleveland, it's a good problem to have, right? But if I'm Collin, I'm like, yo, I'm rooting for my team always, but like, Femi, don't forget that, I won't say who I am, but just understand that you have a talented player. You know what I'm saying? And that shouldn't be forgotten. A guy that wanted to be there from the beginning, and it's a tough situation, but it's definitely, I'll say, for him better than Portland's. Being in a young environment where guys are enthusiastic about winning, and they're making waves.
Yeah,
but
you got another one.
Well, for who's better?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. You want to do bigs?
Won't matter. As long as you're not trying to do cross matchups, like CJ and the Sabonis.
It's not a game of who would win 1-on-1. It's pick one.
Yeah, it's crazy because Sabonis. I don't know. How do you feel about Sabonis and what's going on with that?
I like Sabonis. That trade, I know, between Sacramento and Indiana, a lot of people were just like, you shouldn't give up Tyrese, which I completely understand. But like, Sabonis is still good. Like, I still think Sabonis is, all-star caliber. I mean, him and De'Aaron should be pretty fun to watch. Out to my lefties out there. But just like, it's not like trades are both sides. You feel me? So sometimes it might suck to give up a player. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. But at the same time, look at what you also got back in return. Now, you're giving up Tyrese and Buddy Hield and, Tristan Thompson. But it's the idea to like, okay, I don't know.
Let me ask you a question. Did either team get better?
That's a very good question. I will say this, though, before I answer that. I will say, at least with the Sacramento Kings, I'm happy that they made a decision, right?
There you go.
So we know now how they're moving, right? We know the faith is in De'Aaron. We know that's how they're about to start operating for years down the line. So that's good, right? Before you could look over Sacramento and say, what the hell is going on?
And you still looking at Sacramento looking at that.
Don't get me wrong. I ain't saying that, you know what I'm saying? They done everything. But at least the sense of direction that they might feel, right? There's a lot that needs to be done, but this is a step in the right direction. And whether you think they won the trade or not, at least there's confirmation. All right, De'Aaron Fox is our guy. There's not a question mark anymore. There's not a thought of like, who is it today? And honestly, the duo is who we're going with, right? De'Aaron and Sabonis. It ain't like, you know what I'm saying? So at least there's that. So
I agree with that. Like, at least we know that like they made that move because De'Aaron Fox is our guy. And there was a lot of people that was similar to say like, oh, I would give De'Aaron Fox and keep Tyrese. Let me tell you something. De'Aaron Fox had a down year, but he averaged 25 last year. And then also, it's way more easier for you to pair a dynamic, like, point guard and a big than, like, a traditional guard. Like, I love Tyrese. Like, Tyrese is coming into his own as a scorer and stuff like that. He's improving in that area. But his best attribute is his passing. He's a traditional guard, which is very rare in the NBA. It's only a few, like Ricky Rubio and stuff like that. But it's just kind of like Tyrese and Sabonis or Fox and Sabonis. It's without a question, it's Fox and Sabonis because it's just like that pick and roll is more dangerous because of De'Aaron Fox's ability to score, get to the rim, attack, put pressure on the defense, like shoot. It's just like that's what you got to look at. And for it's like who won the trade, like I don't really think it pushes the needle in any direction because I think that, like, all right, De'Aaron Fox and Sabonis, all right, still probably not going to make the playoffs. Then you look at Tyrese, you got that Chris and you got Buddy Hield, stuff like that. Like, that's a good young, like, whatever, young core, I guess, but shit wasn't working in Sacramento. So you just basically just said, all right, we shipping our whole team to Indiana. It's just like, all right, that's not really like, okay, cool. It's not really doing nothing for me. You know what I'm saying? So that's just how I kind of look at it. But I will say the Kings did get the best player out of the deal. And that's
and
Sabonis.
No one wants to acknowledge that.
and that's Sabonis.
The Kings got finessed. Who is the best player of this trade right now? Like, whether you think Tyrese is going to be, I'm saying, he's still young. Right, like he's still young, the potential and all that. But like right now, you're not about to sit here and tell me that Sabonis is like, that's it's still, you know what I'm saying?
20 and 12 and 2 years left on his contract, making less than $19 million a year, like cap flexibility as well. Like, all right now, like Sabonis, and I understand, but also it's just kind of like, I will say, like, Sabonis' lack of defense. Like, I always talk about defense as a matter of stuff like, but you know what I always say? Like, when you're a big man, like 3, 4, 5,
this guy,
it matters to me. 3, 4, 5, it really matters.
Bro, guards have to play defense too, bro.
It really matters to me.
Guards have to play defense too.
But I'm just saying, but most of the times, like, we're not gonna get into all that. All I'm gonna say is, like, your big man not being able to, like, play defense and being a defensive liability, that's something I will worry about. And one could argue that, all right, you keep Tyrese, you keep De'Aaron Fox or whatever, you just see who becomes, which route you want to go with. That's what people were saying with the Kings fans, stuff like that, where they're frustrated because, he has so much talent and potential. But he has a lot of potential, but, like, De'Aaron Fox is, like, people are underrated how good De'Aaron Fox is. Like, it's serious how talented he is and stuff like that. Like, but Tyrese has a lot of potential, but it's like,
that's the thing, right?
I don't understand why are we like, people are really like, oh, like, I would give up, like, De'Aaron Fox over Tyrese. I always just sat back and was like, okay.
And this is one of those situations where, like, I didn't know that Kings fans loved Tyrese as much as they did. Yeah. Right? I didn't know that until the trade happened. Yeah. Like, I knew obviously he was cold, but in terms of the Sacramento loyalty, I'm like, damn. I didn't know the fan base was like that, to the point where, like, everyone is, like, pissed off. But again, y'all, look at who you're receiving in, you know what I'm saying, back. Like, obviously, look, y'all, can't get no damn worse. Like, y'all, it ain't, you know what I'm saying, this ain't gonna ruin the history of the champ. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's gonna be all right. Y'all done been through worse. It's. Yeah, it doesn't move the needle. Like, it's not like, oh shit.
Sabonis or Porzingis?
Oh, right now, definitely Sabonis. It's actually not even a question. That is probably way more obvious than Collin or CJ or you got Kristaps? Dallas Kristaps?
Healthy? I'm very high on KP. I know
I am too. 3 years ago,
he can't stay healthy, but he's still.
Ask Knicks fans that question. Sabonis or KP? They might rejoice. Like, come on now. Come on
Julius,
now.
Guess was it Julius Randle or Sabonis? I guess that's a better question.
It was months ago. It was months ago. It was. Oh
my God.
No, I'm not lying.
You're being disrespectful.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I promise you I'm not. I'm not intending to be. But, like, look, the timing of these questions is very, very important, right? Had you asked me this a year ago, we could chat.
I guess you say,
okay, Sabonis. In case I haven't made that very clear, Sabonis.
Okay. Well, who's having a better year and who's better overall can be two different things. I always say that, because you can have a player can have a better year than a player that we're comparing, but like, no.
Okay, so say your answer, please. I'm
gonna roll with Julius Randle.
Oh, let me find out you showing the Knicks some love.
I'm gonna roll with Julius Randle.
Let me find out.
I'm gonna roll with Julius Randle. I know Julius Randle is not, playing up to expectation. I know the Knicks have a lot of things going on. I know it's crazy. That fan base is crazy, but I'm gonna give the edge to Julius Randle, because I just feel like Julius Randle can do a little bit more than Sabonis. Like, Julius Randle can bring the ball at the floor, handle a little bit, score in variety of ways, get to the rim, like, has a little handle. Like, he's improved in every aspect of his game. And I just feel like Sabonis, like, I know what Sabonis is. He's a low block, 19 and 10, great passer, especially can hit the guys coming off a V-cut, backdoor. That, he's phenomenal at doing that, but he's not like, I don't know if Sabonis could have did what Julius Randle did for the Knicks last year. Actually, I know he can. So that's why I said Sabonis is having a better year than Julius Randle, but if I had to really pick, I'm probably taking Julius Randle over Sabonis.
That's fair. That's a great point. You not being sure if Sabonis could have done the same thing that Julius did. That's a very great point. But to me, this is like a similar debate between, for me at least, the Steph versus AI, in terms of, like, one player has a higher ceiling, but at the same time, I think that same player has a lower floor. And I think this is the same as that case with Sabonis and Julius. I think Julius has a higher ceiling, but at the same time, I think the floor also might be lower. I think Sabonis is more like consistent. Like you really do know what you're getting from Sabonis. Like
each and every
game
night,
in and game out, you know exactly what you are getting. But that may not always be the case with Julius. And again, that could be good or bad, right? Like, but in a situation like this, if I had to choose one, I'd rather go with the one or who I know for a fact. All right, here's what he's about to do this season. Here's what he's about to do this game. This too, again, like I said, the timing of this is just not ideal.
So you can't always get caught up in timing,
right. But even still, that's why I gave you an explanation as to why I still would go with Sabonis. Like it's been a level of okay, here's what he's doing, here's what he's doing, here's what he's like. It's the same type of play, but with Julius, it's as you asked before, is he a number one option? As you've asked before, who's the best player on their team come playoff time? Right?
Yeah, like Sabonis has never been a number one option. Like, to be honest, he's not really
on a on a quality team, on a playoff team.
He's been like the Pacers made the playoffs with him, but it's just like it's not.
Well, I mean, like not okay. Yeah, with the record as a Knicks, that's what I mean.
Yeah, his impact is not like, he's a good. Even like Sabonis would be a good like third option on a playoff contender. Even Julius Randle, I feel the same way. But at the same time, it's just kind of like I just feel like you can do a little bit more with Julius Randle. If you had to pick, like I feel like you can do a little bit more with Julius Randle than Sabonis. If you had to pick, like, all right, I want to start my team, like I need somebody to do everything for me.
But that's just it, though. I thought you were against just that. The idea of Julius having to do all that.
I am against that. But I'm just saying, like, if you're just picking like who's better, that's what I'm saying. Like that's a part of it. Like you're at the park, like, all right, you need somebody,
all right.
You know what I'm saying? No, I'm just saying, like you gotta if you pick it like who's better, I think that's a component of it. Like who do you think's better? Also, who do you think's like, yo, if you had to pick a team, you had to like have this guy as your best player, like who would you rather have? Would you rather have Julius Randle or Sabonis? And it's just like I kind of seen Julius Randle do it, even though I don't think it should be he should ever do it.
But
again.
You've also seen him not do it, is my point. Yeah. So it really is which side of the spectrum, I guess, if you're on.
It's close though, but it's not like
of course. I'm not saying that it's obvious. Like again, if someone were to go with Julius Randle, I'm not going to be mad or confused at that. Yeah. Like he's still, just made an All-Star game. He's still fresh off bringing the Knicks to a home court. Yeah. Serious. So it's not like something crazy.
But that's why I always talk about this year, Sabonis. But overall, to me, it's probably Julius Randle. But like I'm saying, I always try to tend to get the edge to like overall and not just 1 year.
Yeah, because I mean, with that, I think we had a debate between De'Aaron Fox, John Morant, and Shea sometime last year. But you know what though? By stating that though, by you saying like I don't let 1 year be like a deciding factor.
Yeah,
John Morant, John Morant, who's having a phenomenal year. De'Aaron Fox, who isn't having a crazy year.
All right, this is a better one. This is a better one. Let's go to this. John Morant or Trae Young?
It's funny. Yo, when I started, when I first started this episode, and I was like, yo, I think it's time we have a Who's Better episode. Originally, I wanted to just do one matchup like for the whole episode and then do another episode where we break it down. We about to knock out like 7 of them in one episode.
We're gonna this is the last one. We're gonna knock out 3.
All right, yeah, that's fine.
We're gonna knock out 3. We talked Collin Sexton and
we did like
McCollum. 5. No, we talked Collin Sexton, CJ McCollum, and then we talked.
We did Collin Sexton and CJ McCollum. We did a little bit of Sabonis and KP, but that was mid.
That was mid. Yeah,
and Sabonis and Julius. Okay, and then this one.
So this is the last
There's
one.
definitely another one. I'm just forget. All right, anyway, it doesn't matter. John Morant or Trae Young? The question that we would love to hear, because I already know who you're going to pick.
What do you say?
Regardless, well, I say no. Regardless, right?
This year only.
Right now.
You can make an argument. You can make an argument that John Morant right now is the best point guard in the world this year. Right now, best point guard in the world. That's over like everybody. So, but
including Stephen is what
you're saying. Including Stephen Curry. Yes, right now. If we're talking about right now, this regular season, what's been happening lately? Yes, John Morant. Right now, key word in that sentence is right now, because you know how people love to mix up your words. Like, you said that John Morant was the best point guard? No, I'm talking about right now. Now, I say that. Overall, I'm taking Trae Young. Based on what we've seen for the past, like since they both been in the league, Trae Young's been in the league, 3 years, 4 years? Josh's been in the league for 3 years. So like overall, I'm taking Trae.
Same here.
Okay.
Hate to say it, but again, and I know you want to sit here and say like right now in this season and all that, but at the same time, I have no choice but to factor in what they've done to this point in their career, because that's like saying, all right, I'm going to judge them based off, 50 games. Like, I'm just not going to do that.
Yeah.
But I'm saying Trae mainly because of that Eastern Conference, playoff run that he had last year. Now, if Ja goes out and makes the Western Conference playoff, we're going to have a dialogue.
Yeah.
Well, it also depends too on what the Hawks do. We're going to see if last year was just luck. Can the Hawks
and stuff like that?
Yeah. Can they make the playoffs? And honestly, too, my expectations for them still haven't changed as much because I don't care what anyone says. I think the Hawks overachieved last year, which is a good thing. Like, that's not an insult. You feel me? But if they don't make the Eastern Conference Finals, I'm not going to look at them and say like, well, why not? Like, it's what I'm saying. But yeah, as of right now, I'm gonna go Trae. And I still think there's room this season for Ja to, move ahead of him, if you will. All he has to do, literally, like, to me, there's nothing else that he really needs to do during the regular season, but come playoffs, just win. Like, it's been a show, right? It's been a show during the regular season. MVP conversation, putting the Grizzlies even more on the map, but now it's, playoffs. Let's do it.
Yeah, I think it's crazy because I think people are going to be having this argument for a long time.
Oh, of course.
With Ja Morant and Trae Young, because I feel like this is the real, and throw LaMelo Ball in that situation too.
And throw Luka in there.
Luka's not a point guard.
I'm saying though, I'm sorry, girl. I'll let you finish.
Yeah. I'm just talking about point guards. Like people, and this is a situation where we get dicey when we talk about the All-Star game selection. People are mad that Andrew Wiggins made the All-Star game as a small forward and stuff like that. Well, a lot of these guys' positions aren't really their positions. Like, oh, Luka Doncic is a point guard. Okay. Luka Doncic brings the ball up the floor, but that does not automatically mean you're a point guard. Giannis brings the ball up the floor a ton. That's not make him a point guard. That's why we have Rashad Phillips come on to kind of break things down. Luka's really a forward. He doesn't guard guards. He's really a forward. Like LeBron James. People are like, LeBron's a point guard. All right, whatever. He's a forward. You know what I'm saying? So that's why the whole All-Star game should have been Luka starting as a small forward, probably over Andrew Wiggins. But that's here nor there. So when I talk about point guards, I'm talking about guys that really Trae, Ja Morant, LaMelo Ball. I feel those three guys are going to be fighting for who is the best point guard for the next 10 years. That's going to be the next great point guard crop, I feel. And for this year, if I had to give the edge to overall, I'm going to give it to Trae. But Ja Morant's been special, LaMelo Ball's been special. But overall, even though regular season, right now, I said what I said about Ja Morant, you can make a case he's having a better regular season than Trae Young. But overall, I'm going to give it to Trae Young.
And Ja Morant is definitely on his heels. It's not, again, another situation where the gap isn't that large.
Yeah.
And that, winning in the playoffs, in the postseason, that's the biggest factor. And if, the Grizzlies can go out there and do it, then yeah. And the only reason why I mentioned Luka, in that is because before it was always Luka and Trae. Right, obviously, we're talking about the same draft and stuff, but it's always been that back and forth. But now Ja is in that conversation. And I don't even think it was just from a talent perspective. I just think it's that night that they were drafted, they're always going to be connected. But now Ja's
forever linked. Yeah.
Yeah, forever linked. And I thought that would be the case with Ja and Zion. But, whether it be because Zion has been hurt and injured, but it's been more of Ja and LaMelo or Ja and...
Yeah. Zion's been hurt. He's been
right.
hurt,
yeah. And I mean, when that happens, the talk isn't as heavy, which, is pretty obvious. But, I mean, it just makes sense. It's going to get crazy once Zion returns, though, in terms of see how he plays.
Hope he can return healthy and right and stuff like that. Because Lord knows, I just hope he returns healthy.
Yeah, especially being down there in New Orleans, man.
Yeah, and that medical staff.
It gets nasty.
Yeah.
Sad but true.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. Hope you enjoyed this one. Again, housekeeping items to close out. Make sure, get active. 5-star rating. Apple Podcasts. Subscribe everywhere. YouTube. Get the likes, the comments, subscribes, and all that. All right, y'all. Just like that. We gone. Peace.
It's your boy, AK Smith, also known as AK. Make sure you guys go follow No Pump Fakes wherever you get your podcasts.